Hello again, YouTube. Is me, John Avenger, once again, and welcome to another action and thriller month. This time we have a action adventure comedy from the same year, a month after Uncharted came out. This one's a little bit different though because it's a female-led movie. Directed by the Nee brothers, who co-wrote the screenplay with Oren Uziel and Dana Fox, from a story conceived by Seth Gordon. It stars Sandra Bullock, Channing Tatum as a romance novelist and her cover model, respectively, who must escape a billionaire played by Daniel Radcliffe, who's a lot of fun in this movie, and find the lost ancient city described in one of her books. The film co-stars Davine Joy Randolph, who's a newcomer I do like, and Brad Pitt in an extended cameo. And that is a movie that did surprise me this year, The Lost City. This was a lot of fun too, just like Uncharted. There are some jokes that don't work in the movie, but there's a lot of them that made me laugh out loud. The same running time as Uncharted, 112 minutes. Still under 2 hours, which is great. See, you can do it, Disney. Stop making your movies too long. Also, DC. This movie cost $68 million. The budget is pretty good for a budget that low. It looks great. Because they shot in real locations. And they went to real, sets. And when they're in the water, it's real. It's not a bunch of CGI things like in Avatar. But anyway, the movie got pushed, because of the COVID. It was first announced in 2020 when the pandemic happened. Bullock joined as a producer, and that's why there's a lot of scenes in the movie where there's a lot of isolation. Like, it's just Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock on the island by themselves. You don't see a lot of other people around. No crowds. It's very isolated, but it's good. It's a good isolation. Tatum joined in December. The rest of the cast was announced that following year. Filming took place in Dominican Republic, so that's why it's a beautiful island. From May to August of 2021, and again, they kept their distance because of COVID. The film premiered at South by Southwest back in March, and was released theatrically in March of the 25th. It received generally positive reviews from critics, and it made $190 million. Hey, it's one of the better movies that Sandra Bullock has done recently, considering I'm not a big fan. Because, I didn't like Miss Congeniality. I don't like her in Speed 2. Or Demolition Man. But here, when she has a co-star that's funny, he can carry her. Like in the last time I saw her was The Proposal. Ryan Reynolds was really good in that movie. Here, Channing Tatum's hilarious, man. He cracks me up. Because he plays the unlikely hero like Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China. Where he's afraid of stuff. He's not a badass. And he tries to save Sandra Bullock as much as he can, but he also gets into trouble because there's a scene where he got leeches on his ass, which I didn't need to see that. Because I don't like to see man ass in a comedy. It is a PG-13, so you don't see his junk. Daniel Radcliffe is hilarious. If you loved Harry Potter, Josh, see this movie. I recommend it. He's one of the best, most funniest parts of the movie. Because there's a scene that made me laugh in like the third act. He calls Channing Tatum a Ken doll on a scooter. That's just brilliant. Like Radcliffe is he has a good sense of humor. For a Binto, he has a good sense of humor. He made me laugh a lot more than anybody in Force Awakens. And his name is Abigail Fairfax. I shit you not. That's his name in the movie. He's an eccentric billionaire and wanted criminal who breaks the law and kidnaps Loretta. Yeah, he kidnaps her after her book Q&A, where she just freaks out and says, "Oh, I'm going to kill off your favorite character," and then they just kidnap her. At least it happens early. We don't have to wait an hour for it to happen. And this movie is basically a better version of Nims Island. Because I like the little girl in that movie and the seal, and even Gerard Butler, but Jodie Foster in that movie was nuts. She was schizophrenic. Seeing her characters come to life and they weren't really there, yeah. This isn't that. This movie's really Sandra Bullock trying to find herself, in the island after she gets kidnapped. And her best friend, Davine Joy Randolph, is not a stereotype. She is the black girl, the plus-size black girl that actually has a purpose. She's her publisher, and she wants to find her friend. She goes through all this hell just to find her friend. It's a good gesture. If Josh was in the same situation, I would do the same for him. But anyway, there's some people that should have been cut from the movie. Like Brad Pitt, he does the best he can as Jack Trainer, the human tracker and action man. Oscar Nunez didn't need to be in the movie. He's just there for a laugh because he worked with Sandra Bullock before in The Proposal. He's Oscar, an eccentric cargo plane pilot. He could have been cut. You also have Raymond Lee appears as Officer Gomez. Adam Nee, one of the directors, appears as Officer Sawyer. Stephen Lang, credited as Slang, appears as the fantasy villain imagined by Loretta in her book. And the premise is interesting. You know, she writes these books, and then this guy's like, I want you to decode this so I can find the treasure. And I'm like, yeah, just like I said, Daniel Radcliffe steals the movie. Other than, you know, Channing Tatum, who's hilarious in almost everything. Yeah. If you love Daniel Radcliffe, Josh, as Harry Potter, this is him without the glasses, grow a beard, and I love at the end when they catch him, he's like, I don't want to spoil too much, but this joke I have to say is, he's like, the black girl's like, really? I thought it was a little boy in a suit. The movie's witty. It made me laugh, man. Considering that comedies nowadays are just Kevin Hart screaming like a bitch, or Rebel Wilson trying to pretend to be straight, or actors that are not funny, like freaking Tiffany Haddish, where she's just loud and everything. Yeah, this is a breath of fresh air that we have a comedy that's not appropriated as much, and it's funny. And it was in theaters, not on Netflix. And I'm like, oh, thank God this movie was funny. I would have liked to see this in a theater. It's fun. Romancing the Stone is a better movie because it's less, you know, goofy, but this movie has more action than Romancing the Stone. And it didn't have a shitty sequel, at least. You know, that movie had Dew of the Nile is just not the same. But here, it was funny. It says, the website says the Lost City doesn't sparkle quite as bright as some classic treasure hunting capers, but its star screwball chemistry makes this movie well worth it. Yes, Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock surprisingly have some good chemistry. As romantic leads and as comedic leads. They play off each other pretty well. And like I said, Radcliffe just is a hoot in the movie. He cracks me up. And it's not a masterpiece. It's not a masterpiece. Like I said, there's some pacing issues in the beginning. Some of the jokes do not land, especially the ass shot where he has leeches on his ass. And there's some yelling. There's some stereotypes, but it's not horrible. I laughed with my sister. I was watching the movie and we were laughing our asses off because it's fun. It's on Paramount Plus. I would recommend it. And the fact that this movie came out after Uncharted and was just as enjoyable, it surprised me. I thought it was going to be shit because I'm like, I'm not a Sandra Bullock fan. But when she can be funny with a male co-star, it works really well. And Tatum is so funny in the movie. Like, you know, like I said, he's so goofy and fun. And he's not taking it seriously. There's some scenes that he does take it seriously. Like when they get injured later in the film, or when they get stuck in the tomb at the end. But again, I don't want to spoil too much. But they work. They make it work. And it's a well-shot movie, too. I think it's a really well-shot. These directors should do more comedies. The Nee brothers. Because they did Band of Robbers and The Last Romantics. I mean, they did a good job. If they do a Marvel movie, they could teach Taika Waititi how to do comedy and not make it every 2 seconds. You can have a laugh, but then there's a time to be serious. You can have a cry, but then there's a time to, you know, like, get to action, get something happening. You can be goofy, but you have to have a consistent tone. You can't just throw comedy every single second. You have to have time to breathe. This movie does, and it's fun. The action's well shot. There's explosions. There's a lot of, like, fun. I'm just seeing that Radcliffe gets left behind is hilarious. Like I said, this is the movie for you if you're a Harry Potter fan. Because, you know, Radcliffe, she has range. Here, I'm not crazy about some of his other films because they're kind of weird, like Horns or The Woman in Black. But when he's funny, he's freaking hilarious, man. I think he's going to be a good Weird Al. In that Weird Al biopic, I think he's going to do just fine because he has the eccentricities of the real Weird Al Yankovic. So it's fun. I recommend it. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.